Okay. Well, thank you for being here today. And if you don't want to have your face seen as the recording, feel free to turn your screen off, but I'd love to see your face. And I'm thrilled to have Ashley here talking on AI. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it to her and I'm going to mute my line. So thank you everybody for joining today.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Pyle. And when Jennifer presented me with this opportunity, I thought, what a great time to get together with this group and talk about how to gain a time advantage. I created that image that you're seeing right now in about 60 seconds. I asked ChatGPT to create it. I threw an image of G.R.I.T's colors and then I was done. So I'm hoping that I can show you some of the ways in which you can save time. But we're going to start off with some polls because when I give these presentations, I've been giving these presentations in different aspects in real life and webinars over the last like 14, 15 months. And I find that everybody's skills and everybody's adoption and what you're working on can really vary. So I wanted to kind of take a poll here in a second. But so I'm Ashley Pyle. I've spent the last 20 years in technology, mostly at the intersection of growth and execution. But 14, 15 months ago, I took on our AI task force internally. We're an IT consulting firm, and we dove in. And I wanted to figure out how businesses could act now to understand and upskill and roll out Gen AI. Personal story, I am a very busy mom of two. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so in 2023, when I started using Gen AI at work, it's kind of a little secret, little superpower. And then I began to rapidly realize I needed to teach other people these skills in my organization. And that as the future of work became very important and everybody's strapped for time and we've got mental load, and all of the things that demand our time, how can we use some of this technology to offload some of our busy work, to delegate? And a really good example of this must have been in like 2023. A coworker needed a quick letter that a client was asking us for. And I'm like, okay, great. ChatGPT went in, told it what I needed. It spit out a really good letter. I, of course, made some edits. We'll go over why that's important. And I sent it back to her. She ran over to my desk and said, I used to do this for a living. That's the best letter I've ever read. How did you get that done so fast? Because I responded in like 5 minutes and I was like, here's the deal. This is how you do it. And so the more research I started to do and the more I started to understand, and we'll talk about this in the presentation, is that women's use of AI lags behind men in many traditional studies. And that concerned me because that can also further wage gaps, that can further opportunity in the workplace for women. And so, one of the reasons why I talk to a lot of women's groups is because I want to move past maybe some of the fear and uncertainty into fascination and how we can use these tools both personally, because I use a lot of it personally, and then also professionally. So, this is poll time. If you've used poll everywhere before, you kind of know the drill. You can go to this URL on your phone and start to vote. If you've got another screen, you can open up another window, whatever easiest for you. I want to start off with, how often are you using generative AI right now? So not at all. I'm here to learn. There's no shame in any of these answers. I want everyone to feel comfortable and honest. Monthly, maybe you're using it a couple times throughout the month when you remember. Weekly, you're like, yep, I'm in there a couple times a week. And then I'll go with the every single day people that we're going to hopefully hear from you too, because I'd like to get into sharing on how everyone's using it. All right, so I'm seeing some votes come in. And let me know if you have any problems with it. You can scan that QR code or just go straight to that URL. All right, we're going to get into responses. So we're going to keep watching them come in. All right, so we've got some people that are using it several times throughout the week, some kind of more on the monthly side. I will say a year ago, I would get more like, not at all, I'm here to learn. Okay, we've got some everydayers, love it. Well, good mix. All right, so this is like where chat comes into play, or if you want to take yourself off mute, Anyone that's using it, since this seems to be kind of like weekly throughout the week, what are we using it for? Again, you can throw yourself off mute or put it in chat, and I'll have Jennifer help me with that.
Content creation, emails.
Oh, Taryn, thank you for joining.
I use mine every day. So on Saturday or Sunday, chat builds me a menu for the week with all of my shopping lists and what I'm going to cook. Chat is helping me fight the squirrel on my patio. Helps me with all of my performance reviews that I do, every single policy, like literally everything. If I have to like write something down or use my brain, I just don't anymore.
Yeah. What time has it given you back? Like, what do you do with the extra time that your brain doesn't have to waste on fighting squirrels?
I'm still fighting the squirrel. I'm not winning. I'm losing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's given me time to do more different things. So instead of doing the redundant, monotonous things like, writing policies or writing performance reviews or writing handbook stuff or just all of the basic job stuff, I just used it to update my LinkedIn profile the other day. I put what was in there and I was like, hey, this is 6 years old. Can you just make it sound more relevant and whatnot? And it yeah.
That's awesome. I did that recently where I took a screenshot of my whole profile and I took a screenshot of my social selling index, like number, if you have like Sales Navigator. And I said, I want to increase my index. What do I need to do to improve my profile? And it gave me, and I said, oh, and by the way, I like these profiles of these individuals. Like, what should I do? And it gave me some great examples. So I like how you're thinking creatively about all the different ways that you can use it. So I'm glad to see that people are using it several times throughout the week. Okay, so I'm interested in tool sets that individuals are using, and we might be able to like dive into some more than others, but there's hundreds of tools. I didn't pull all of them. I pulled some of the most popular ones. So if you want to start voting, and you can vote more than once. If you're like, I love all of them, just start clicking around. I'm particularly interested if you are using Microsoft Copilot, because we can talk about that in a little more detail. Okay, so we got 13 votes in. Everyone's getting the hang
Did you
of
see the
this.
question? Is there any way to make an angry email more professional? I love it.
Oh, yes. That's like when I do these sessions, people are like, this is how I use it. I'm passive aggressive and I'm angry. I run it through just to make sure that my message is coming through. And you can do that natively with Copilot in Outlook, which is pretty cool. Absolutely. We want to find ways to use AI to like deepen human experiences and not just like take them away. Okay, so no surprises. Most everybody is using is using ChatGPT. Great to see that people are using Claude and Gemini and cool on the Copilot. We will touch on Perplexity. It's one of my favorites to use. Claude is well regarded. ChatGPT is like your daily driver, right? So it is going to be one of the most accessible and easiest to use, but we'll also talk about the reasons and the ways not to use it, because there are some cautions there. And I'm assuming, Jen, you're going to send out the slides, so everyone will have access to this afterwards in the recording as well.
Wonderful.
So this is a little bit more touchy-feely, and when you get to it, you'll be able to see all of these. Sorry they didn't fit on this screen, but I'd really love for everyone to think about the top 2 emotions that you feel about AI. Uncertainty, anxiety, fascination, fear, confusion, excitement, surprise, or trust. So just go with your gut. Don't overprocess this. And we're going to take a look at how we're doing. Love the excitement. I assume there would be some excitement, right? And some fascination. That's why you're here today. All right, so I think we have enough. We got 20 votes in. Okay, this is good. So it looks like right now, fascination and excitement are leading. This is good. This is really good. Surprise and trust, and then some anxiety and a little bit of uncertainty. These are all very normal feelings. And in fact, one of the reasons why I like to do this work is because fear and uncertainty drive our inability to be able to kind of break through in using some of these tools. So there's a lot of research out there that shows women are less likely to use AI, and that early adopters, and I would still put us in an early adopting phase, that are disproportionately using it to men. So that could worsen or exacerbate the gender pay gap. That's not cool. I don't love that. And even in younger generations, some studies found that there was a gap there. And in this particular study, and this is what Deloitte shared, this is from 2024, but I believe still relevant today. I just read Stanford's human AI kind of index, and they even showed that even in the United States, that this kind of still is a little bit of a challenge. But women revealed lower interest than men in having a variety of Gen AI-enabled experiences. So everything from assistance with buying products to personalized nutrition plans and coaching, talking to a medical chatbot, with a friend chatbot, right? So not all of these are, I'm not advocating for uses in all of these, but this interest was really interesting to me. So this doesn't mean that this will happen for long, that this is the research that was conducted in 2024, and that women, especially those that are experimenting with Gen AI and that are using it for like projects and tasks, that, can you see my whole screen, or do you see this little thing? You can, okay. That women are outpacing men. So by the time that we get to the end of 2025, most women will have caught up with men. And I'm not trying to make this a men versus women thing, but I'm particularly, like I said, interested in making sure that women can move past fear and uncertainty. And so this is why we took that quiz. That when women, in this particular study, that when women were just somewhat familiar, the feelings of uncertainty, anxiety led in the way in which they either used or did not use Gen AI. As they moved to experimenting phases, as they started using it more and started trying new things, it moved from uncertainty to fascination. And so anyone that was fascinated by it, I can tell that you're experimenting, you're trying, you're chasing away squirrels. And then using means that we get more to excitement and fascination, and trust improves. And so there's a real fear and over-reliance on AI. We're going to get into what that means, but getting into excitement and fascination. So I want to give you some tactics and some tips today that can get you from familiar to experimenting to using, or even from experimenting to using. I think that's also such a wonderful community, that if you are an expert and you're using it, I want you to be able to share those, not only with your organization, but the people that you network with and that you're closest to in G.R.I.T, so that if you have an aha moment and there's other members that you know that could use that knowledge, I want you to be able to share that knowledge, just like I'm doing here today. So I promise I won't go like too much into research, but I think this is really important. This is part of why I want to make sure that GoodellNet, as we're an IT provider, and we are very responsible for making sure that our teams are up to date and upskilled and just, performing at their best, is that this Future of Jobs report, the World Economic Forum put this out earlier this year. It's incredibly long. But what stood out here is that AI and basically like big data are going to transform 86% of businesses by the year of 2030. You go on LinkedIn, if you read the news, if you listen to the news, like none of this is surprising. But why we care is that through their research, almost 60% of workers will need reskilling, and that 1 in 5 may not get it. And so when you look at core skills that are needed, these are what is important as an individual or for my teams. Certainly AI and big data is important, but resilience and agility are really key. Resilience, flexibility, and agility. So learning, upskilling, these are all really, really important. And you'll get these slides if you want to spend more time with like what these like core skills look like. The other piece is, and this study was done in March. Well, this study was released in March. The research was conducted in 2024. So this one was really interesting. It was done by Harvard Business Review. And this was a study done over at Procter & Gamble with about 800 people. And in this study, what you're looking at here is they gave a project to individuals that couldn't use AI. It was the same project. They gave the project to a team of people that couldn't use AI to solve the problem. They gave it to an individual with just access to ChatGPT, and this was last summer. So just me working on the project with ChatGPT. And then they gave the entire team access to AI. And they found that real world work quality, it's kind of a tongue twister, and productivity gains, but it also led to better emotional experiences. And that seemed to be kind of a surprise of the researchers that said, wow, people actually, as a team, because they rated, and there was like a judging panel, it was, it was a real study that they found with the team that worked with AI. So they really determined that AI functions more like a teammate than a tool. And so if we can share our expertise, then those positive emotional experiences happen. So pretty cool research. You might see this, right? The fear of AI replacing our jobs. AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without. I used to talk about this a lot. I used to share this, but I actually don't anymore because I like to focus on reality. And so I think this is a much better way to describe what we're headed for, and that most business functions and more than 40% of all US work activity can be augmented, automated, or reinvented with generative AI. This was done in October of 2024. So I think this is a more realistic view versus saying like AI is coming for your jobs or it won't replace you or it will, that we can really frame it in this research and the research of other thought leaders. So I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but I like to start with basic definitions. And you're looking at prompt boxes, right? A blank prompt box. The first one's ChatGPT, you're probably familiar. And then the next one is just a quick screenshot from Copilot. And there could be a lot, like when there's anxiety, like what do I type in this box? That's where kind of some training can come in to help you use this technology efficiently. All right, AI 101. So I like to go over this every time, even when I'm with experts, so we can kind of reframe what we're talking about, especially in terms of generative AI. So it works by putting collections of data through algorithms. These are sets of instructions, and that creates models. And then those models automate tasks that require human intelligence and time. So when I'm going to chat and I'm asking it to draft a job description or write a blog post or help me brainstorm, that's normally takes my own time to do. So if AI is the goal, then machine learning is how we get there. And that is just training machines to identify patterns and make predictions. So when we're making those predictions and identifying patterns, the data is run through again and again to help the system learn and improve. And that's when you hear like machine learning, training the models. That's what's happening there. And then the most important thing that I want everyone to take away, or one of the most important things that I want you to take away today, is that large language models, or LLMs, generate content. They do not retrieve information. And that's very important because I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what generative AI does. And when you think that it retrieves information, that can be dangerous because you could over-rely on the information that you get back without doing a kind of a deep dive or really understanding what it's telling you and if it's accurate or not. So just think about that being generating and not retrieving information. So we'll cover some of my learnings. Again, I've been like deep in the trenches for a couple years now. This is just some of my learnings. General use cases. Again, I think looking at our survey in the beginning, there were some a wide variety of AI that people are using, but I want to throw in some other ideas, prompting, and then maybe some popular tools. So some of my top learnings There's great productivity hacks, right? I think that everybody's aware of some of them, but prompting can help even get more. Faster decision making. I believe that it's cut my meeting time in half. And I don't mean the actual meeting, but either preparing for the meeting or the work that I need to do after a meeting. We turn transcriptions on all of our meetings, so we can reason over the content later. I can generate action notes and summaries. That, to me, in my role, has been one of the biggest game changers. Writing and communication, of course, that's like one of the #1 uses. It can automate admin tasks and delegate busy work. I do believe that once you continue to learn more, that it can positively impact core job functions. We have written a point of view to help all of our employees understand what we use AI for and what we don't use it for, because we want to enhance and deepen our commitment to our teams and our partners. So that's really at the forefront of our mind and the responsible use of it. And then it can be wrong, and it can sometimes be frustrating. And #7, breaking through the being wrong and breaking through frustrations as you learn is going to be one of the keys that you need to really be able to use these tools. I won't spend a lot of time on this. We've talked about content creation and image generation. There are some great video creation tools. There's probably not of like code generation. I mean, there's a lot of code generation going on. I'm not sure if this group quite needs it, but image identification, generating ideas, managing tasks, fraud detection, predictive analysis, like deep research. We've used it for some really remarkable market research. I'll stop here for questions.
Feel free to unmute or put them in the chat and I can read them to Ashley.
Hi, this is Paula. Can you say a little bit more about the research for marketing?
Yeah. So the example that I was talking about is we wanted to open up a new part of a market. So we operate in Denver, but we wanted to expand our work in Colorado Springs. And so we use ChatGPT's like deep thinking model with a bunch of prompts to get more information about how we would involve and get more involved in Colorado Springs and what associations we would need to look at. How we would need to hire and what a good salary for the position could be, our top competitors in the area, and what some of their best qualities were and some of the things that we would be up against. And so normally that would take my marketing team a lot of time to do. But because I actually ran that same prompt on St. Louis, and we know the St. Louis market really well, I could kind of compare what I know to be true and what it was telling us in Colorado Springs. And it gave us a lot of helpful advice and information that would have taken a long time for us to sort through. So that's just one example kind of on the market research side of things.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have any other examples using like for market research or just overall like marketing that they want to share?
Actually, with this next book that I'm publishing in June, it's on successful entrepreneurs with grit. And I really wanted to just hone in and understand what that looked like from a diverse perspective. So I really utilized ChatGPT to articulate the thoughts of my 3 pillars that I put on every one of my back of my books. And it was a tremendous time saver. Like it was insane. But I mean, I was able to do a lot of market research to just see what are the trends in regards to like entrepreneurs from 20 years ago to entrepreneurs now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that idea generation, that brainstorming. We are going through a compliance framework that this is like on the more technical side. And I started to ask it really futuristic questions like, what should we be thinking in 5 years from now in the way that we're going through this project? And it gave me some really good ideas. And some of the ideas I'm like, that's so futuristic. I'm not sure if I can do that. But it actually found some resources that our technical teams had not even seen yet. And so asking for sources and understanding the information that it's returning back is really helpful, but being able to refine the prompt, most people stop at one prompt. There's research that shows that you're putting in a prompt and getting results, and then that's the end. But we'll go over prompting frameworks, and the more that you can refine and kind of review those inputs and outputs, it's really important. So I did want to give everyone a little bit of an assignment, and so you can do it now or you can, do it later, but I would encourage you to write down 3 tasks that you feel drain your time or energy or just take a lot of work and brain power, and start to spot opportunities as you learn and experiment more on how AI might be able to help you with that. Because there are really good applications where you can go, this isn't fun for me. This takes my energy away. How could AI help me with this? So again, write down that prompt. We won't have in longer sessions. We actually get to go through a longer exercise, but I didn't want to leave that out for today. It can be a mix of personal and professional, and these can be repetitive or just one-time tasks that take time. So, example for me is that we are watching tariffs very carefully at Godona because we provide hardware to our partners. And so we want to make sure that we can make good decisions on all the computers and servers and everything that we're buying. So I automated a task for it to do research, ChatGPT, for it to do research every Monday before our executive meeting. And it's a really great prompt. It's exactly what basically I would be searching every week, but it sends it directly to my inbox about an hour before the meeting. And so I can review and read all the research, and I can go to that meeting prepared with the most relevant information about how our hardware partners are going to be impacted by the cost of tariffs. So that's a real life example where I could have been doing that manually, but now I actually get to spend the time reviewing and analyzing and being prepared for that meeting. All right, so I'd love to share this research. When Microsoft started, and I actually met one of the researchers that didn't work directly on this, but knew the team that did. When Microsoft released Copilot last year, and Copilot is just AI built into your Microsoft environment, they noticed that there were some individuals, some people that had licenses that were far and away using it more than everybody else. It was kind of like this group over here, and then these power users. And so they surveyed like 31,000 people. It was a long report, and they do it every year. They just released their latest one. But they found that the people that were finding the most amount of value and saving the most amount of time. So the power users, that green group right there, they were saving more than 30 minutes a day using AI. And this was last year. So that's pretty remarkable, in my opinion, that people were saving that much time last year. And so they did 3 things differently. They researched and tried new prompts. They regularly experimented with different ways of using AI. And then before starting tasks, they asked, like, could AI help me with this? So across all of these categories, and you can see kind of what individuals are using. They're trying again when they don't get a response that they like from the first prompt, that they're using it to get ready for their next work day. They start their day with it. They regularly share prompts, but the 3 in green, I really want you to have as a key takeaway from today so that you can get into that power user mode. So you'll research and train new prompts. You can regularly experiment with different ways of using AI, and then ask yourself, could AI help me with this? But I also want to get to the question of, should AI help me with this? Because as much as an advocate I am of using this technology, there are reasons not to use AI. And they're usually when the stakes are really high, because AI is very convincing. It can hallucinate, and that just means that it's incorrect. And that can happen anywhere between 30 and 70% of the time. And so if you're just taking everything for face value and you're not kind of refining your prompts, you could be led astray. So take inspiration when you go, AI can help me with this. This could look like customer service. We use it in sales and marketing, absolutely. We use it in finance to help us find insights in our financials. Marketing, that is like the number one use and probably the easiest, like the lowest barrier to entry in terms of content generation. But in HR, we're working on an agent or a chat bot that anyone in our organization could easily get information about how we run our business inside of HR. So everything from handbook questions to how can I, help my team with this particular challenge, performance management, for example. We don't do a lot in legal. We have outside counsel and we just don't do a lot in legal. And then certainly inside of our IT operations, I could go on for days and days about how it's made our teams more efficient. Okay, so let's get into over-reliance. These are the areas that I want you to think about. There's like kind of 4 areas of over-reliance when you start using some of these tools. So if you are more experienced in using some of this might resonate with you. So naive over-reliance happens when people just don't realize that the responses, they sound intelligent, they sound well-reasoned, like this is correct. It doesn't mean that the responses are actually smart. And so I want you to treat AI more like an assistant, an advisor, and I don't want you to treat it like an expert. Because if you take everything for face value, you could be led astray. Rushed over-reliance, that happens when you know that you need to check, but you just don't have time to, right? You like ask it to write a LinkedIn post and you copy and paste it and like you move on. Or you're just used to clicking accept. And I would avoid rushed over-reliance where you can. Forced over-reliance, that's what happens when you can't check even if you want to. So I was showing one of our engineers the other day how to write scripts in Claude because he wanted to be able to do things a little bit faster in his role. And writing scripts can be kind of like long and you have to know how to do it. But I couldn't check and tell him if those scripts were correct because I could ask it to create scripts for us. But I encouraged him to get with one of our kind of leading experts and say, you can do this work, but get with David because I want him to validate and go over this with you. And I want you to test it in a safe environment. I don't want you testing it in production. But just like drafting a job description, our team can draft scripts and they can save time and they can learn and they can edit. So forced over-reliance is like when you just don't have the knowledge to check. And then motivated over-reliance, and this is maybe the sneakiest. And this is when you have an answer that you want to get to and you just keep asking and like rephrasing it, right? Nobody here has ever done that, right? So just be wary of that, that you might be trying to get information or an answer that you're motivated to get a particular output. So there are roles that have an advantage. When I saw this research, I thought, oh, great, of course I show up at the top. That's why I love it so much in sales and business development. But in this study, they found that 11 minutes was the milestone. So once people started to save about 11 minutes using generative AI, they kind of were bought in. But even if, you can kind of find where you might fit in this list and where your people in your organization fit into this list. But even at the lower levels, you're still able to save time. So I wanted to go that not all roles are created equal. There's a reason why sales and business development and marketing love it, maybe more than like legal and supply chain, but there are absolutely use cases inside of both. AI did get real last year, so I've updated some of this information and I've read a lot of research, but people are using it at work, mostly like in front and back office tasks that we've talked about. Most people say that AI helps prioritize their workload. No surprise there. We've talked about examples. And that this was interesting that 71% of employers say they would rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills than someone without. So I always bring that up because I remind everyone to ask about AI skills in interviews. You want to know, and there's no right or wrong answer there, but if someone does have a lot of relevant AI skills, then you're going to want to know about it. And that may be a differentiator in how you hire. Okay, so like there's hundreds of tools. Like, how do you pick the best one? I would argue that before you get worried about which model that you want to use in ChatGPT, or which ones that you should spend, $20 or $30 a month on, or is chat better than Claude, is that really learning prompting is a fantastic way to maximize the use of any of these tools. And so you want to make sure that when you get to that blank prompt box, that you are defining the goal and the output, what you want. And we'll go over some real world examples here in a second. You've got to provide context. You do want to tailor the tone and the style. And so this is asking it for it to be friendly or professional. You do want to set clear boundaries, and that could look like, I want 200 words. I want it in bullet points. I want this output to go to my executive team. It's a LinkedIn post, whatever that looks like on the boundaries. And then again, this is key. Most people stop at like the first or second prompt, but continue to iterate and refine. And then you'll learn over time how quickly you can do some of this work. This is just a quick slide. It's very similar to the last one, but your tone and the task. Make sure that you provide really clear and specific directions. You can include images to help describe what you want. I've got an example of that here in a minute, because I think those go really well. We've gone over this, but it does not replace human expertise. As much as I love AI, it does not replace human expertise. That it can analyze, predict, and recommend. There are a lot of bias and ethical considerations when it comes to how these models are trained. We won't have time to go into that, but just be mindful of the results that you're getting back. And you can ask back, is there any bias, or could there be any bias, or concerning information, and you can kind of interact. There are new copyright laws. If anyone's particularly interested in copyright, get with me afterwards and I can give you some resources. And it can be usefully wrong. And so this is one of my favorite ways to use it, is that as you're generating content and interacting with the model, maybe it doesn't give you a good output. Maybe it doesn't give you the answer that you want, but it can help you get closer to what you do want. And so use that as a jumping off point. Prompting, there's a lot of different prompting frameworks if you've seen this. Some great resources. I use LinkedIn a lot, so there are some great resources. One of them is called How to Prompt. One of them is called How to AI. You can look up those accounts. And they're constantly giving advice on these cute little frameworks. We use ACEs. There's a bunch of different ways to look at this, but aim, you do need to say what you want. I want a list of 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, why you need it and who's involved. So if it is for an upcoming meeting with the CEO, or for a marketing team, whatever that looks like for the context. Expectations. This is when I think people have gotten a lot better over the last year, when it felt like responses used to be robotic. So a tone that's like friendly or authoritative. You just want to make sure that you're not kind of conflicting on what you're describing you want. And then the source. So in this example, like Copilot could use emails and chats during the last 2 weeks. Or you could tell it to use respected sources like the Harvard Business Review, or give examples of what sources that you generally like to use, or references, and it will do that for you. So the meh post is write a post about the upcoming G.R.I.T Expo. And the yay post would be, in 200 words, create a LinkedIn post promoting the G.R.I.T Women's Leadership Expo on May 28th at Maryville. Be professional and friendly. Note that this conference will sell out. So I wanted to like demo this real quick. Can everyone still see my screen? I'm assuming yes.
We can see you, Ashley.
Oh, hi, Julie. Okay, so this is the prompt that I just did. And so again, with everybody's experience, you can see how well it did that for me. You can move, I have some projects saved. So if you have prompts that you
Ashley?
run a lot, oh yes.
We can see the deck. If you're showing us AI, we can't see the AI.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, we're gonna switch screens. Thank you. Okay, you should see my screen now. We'll start this over. Thumbs up, you can see it.
Looks good.
Great. Okay, so this is what you all do on a weekly or monthly basis. So now we've got a really nice LinkedIn post that we could use, right? So pretty quickly. And then I could say now, create me a Facebook post. Right, and so this is where you can refine. So it's deciding, because of its training, that Facebook might be a little bit different of a way to communicate. So say I like it, I could say make it 100 characters and cut out all the emojis and dashes. Maybe I just don't like that. So again, you can continue to refine. You can take this as as far as you want. What I was showing here over here to the left is you can organize all your chats into projects. So I have some of them organized into projects. I've created some of my own GPTs, so I have an executive coach that understands me and also my writing style. So I'll run some of my posts through that first with a little bit more of a lens of how I would do it. So you could even, ask it to create an image. So I really want you to be like creative in what you're asking for. And if you have no idea, ask anyways. Sometimes it's gonna come back with what works for you. Sometimes it's not gonna work at all. You can connect it to Canva. So if you use Canva quite a bit, it can actually like generate in Canva. Otherwise, it may generate using images.
So how do you do that? Because yesterday I was at that golf tournament and there was a first time attendee at my women's luncheon last week, and she was talking about how she utilized ChatGPT with Canva and was able to create this kind of overview of the luncheon, and she did it really like instantaneous. It's just literally just a connection.
Yes, you can connect your Canvas account. It will also natively generate images for you. So if you used image generation like 6 months ago, you would get like a bunch of mumbo jumbo back and all the letters would be messed up and it just didn't really work. But the 4.0 model has the new image gen, and this is like the remarkable graphics that you start seeing and the like leaps forward that it took. So if you're using it for image generation, I would use 4.0. Gemini, if you have access to Gemini through Google Workplace, especially like the paid versions, do a great job with graphics. But yeah, those are great ways to do it. So this is a little bit more technical on how to do it, but you could put this into Canva or Canvas. Like the sky's the limit. I would encourage you to use, you can turn on web search when you want to search the web. These models are trained on data that has a cutoff point. So when people think, well, like I just asked it this very relevant recent piece of news and it couldn't answer me, it's because likely the model had a data cutoff, that it wasn't trained on recent events. So you can always use it to search the web. And then for anyone that has the paid accounts, you have more access to deep research. And deep research would be used for the example I gave earlier when we need to do market research, and I use deep research. And deep research just takes more time. Everyone uses like, oh, the Ferrari versus the like daily driver kind of a car, your Honda Civic. But you could use deep research. It will take more time, it'll use more compute. And that's why you don't use deep research for everything that you do, because it's going to take the model more time to return results. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to mention is that this little microphone icon, if you see that and you're on your phone or even on your computer, just use it. You can talk probably 2 to 3 times faster than you can type. And the way that we use our own natural language and describing stuff when we talk is actually more helpful, in my opinion, to some of these models than just like typing it all out. And so if you go, oh my gosh, like, why would I type out in 200 words, this like long prompt? If you just turn on dictate and you start talking about what you're actually trying to accomplish, it'll be much faster for you. So use that tip. I'm always like, when I'm on my phone and I'm using any of this, I'm always just speaking and like interacting with it that way. So hot tip. Is anyone using voice at all right now?
I do, just because my dyslexia, it's way easier.
Yeah, so you're like, I'm just gonna talk. I don't have to type. I don't have to worry about like misspelling or moving things around or being too complicated, or I'm on the go. So yeah, this for desktop came out like in the last like month or so. It was available in mobile apps, but you can use it on your desktop if you use it on your desktop. Okay, so we're ripping through. Again, I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. 60 minutes is like never enough time. So continue to work on your prompts, professional and friendly, and you can give it notes. Because you'll get a copy of this, these are my top general purpose tools. So I love Microsoft Copilot. That's the safest for work data when you're licensed for it.
We may need to see your deck again, Ashley. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I'm like everyone is in their own camp, and I am a Teams user for the most part. So thank you, thank you. All right, there we go. Can we see it again?
Yeah, it looks good.
We can, yes.
Okay, so you can explore this later. I think, if you're trying to figure out which two to use, I use Copilot and ChatGPT the most. Gemini is fantastic for research and analysis. There's some really cool image generation and video generation capabilities inside of Gemini. Claude is for creation. People love it for research. You can organize your projects and your chats. I would encourage you to check out Claude. All of these have like a free and a paid version, right? So everyone I know is familiar with Grammarly, proofreading, editing. You can pay for a $12 a month license, and it can rewrite sentences and give you prompts. I just use the free version. Flawlessly.ai can help with grammar, and that one's free. Perplexity, I'll show you an example here in a second. It's great for research, web search. I use it for shopping. If I very specifically know I want something with great reviews and, yada, yada, I'll share. You can use it for shopping. It can even check out your cart for you if you want to take it that far. You can use it to create infographics. Napkin.ai is super easy to use. A lot of people love 11 Labs. This is text to voice, so it's free for up to 10 minutes of audio a month. You can clone your own voice. So certainly there's like risks, like as cool as this technology is, you're like, I can clone my own voice, but with as little of like a minute or two of your own talking, you could clone your voice. So if you do a lot of voiceovers, or if you, maybe someone in your organization used to have to tap them to do all the voiceovers, you can clone. It sounds pretty good. So you could check out 11 Labs if you're not familiar. Descript is great for creation, audio, video editing. So one of my top tips is like, use images and when it's safe and appropriate, and use your voice to save time. So I'm going to give you an example. I share this with Women of Steel. I have like 100 million more examples, but I had this gaping area above my sink that needed artwork. I'm not particularly artistic or great at interior design. And so it just like sat blank for a year. And so I took a picture and I said, I want to hang a framed print above the sink in my kitchen. I like fruits and vegetables and I want it to complement this rug. And I uploaded a picture of the rug that's in my kitchen. And I said, I probably run it around 18 by 26 and my budget is $200, right? So I'm like, kind of know what I want, but I want some help in finding it. So it came back with this result. This was in Perplexity. It's decided that I wanted a vibrant, high quality art print that enhances home decor with a unique artistic touch. So I think it did a pretty good job. Obviously, I bought the print and it had great reviews and it had great sources. So I could click through and make sure that what it was recommending was good. So, and I think it did a pretty good job. So I use it for a lot of examples like that. And I use that image example because I think a lot of people forget that sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can use it for anything requiring research and brain power. So this is an example. I went to an estate sale and there was that game and it had no information. It had like a price. I'm like, it looks kind of cool, but like, is it worth this price? It was not expensive, maybe like $10 or something. But like, how would I even play it if I got it home? So I took a picture of it. It told me the game. It told me how to play it. It told me the price was appropriate. And so I bought the game and brought it home and played it with my kids. And it's actually very fun. It's like a little dice game. So it can replace search, but with limitations. It can analyze photos. I would make sure that you understand and that if you are uploading the picture of yourself or other people, that they're okay with that based on your privacy settings. So I wouldn't upload people's pictures to ChatGPT without their permission to do it. But planning, we talked about this, Orville travel itineraries. You can plan, I use it to plan summer camps, meal planning, ordering groceries. I've been using it for landscaping design and ideas, which has been pretty cool. We talked about deep research earlier. So it's great for tasks that generally require a lot of detailed research. So this is OpenAI's deep research. Perplexity, you can pick the DeepSeek R1 model. Gemini has deep research. Copilot Think Deeper. These models are just more complex and it takes longer to return results. So sometimes it might take like an hour or more. You let it run in the background and then you come back to it and it'll let you know when it's done. You wouldn't want to do that for like a LinkedIn post. You're not going to wait an hour for it to come back with those details. You need to kind of know what you want and need and require a lot of variables. And then, it could be good for when you're open and flexible suggestions like strategic planning. Ask for sources, know your sources. All of these models have been better about producing sources and understanding where this information is coming from, especially if you're going to use it in externally facing marketing materials and your own research. So awareness is key for your data privacy. Inside of chat, you can go into your settings and then go into your data controls. You can turn off improving the model for everyone. I would encourage everyone to read a little bit more about the privacy settings. You can also use temporary chat, so it won't update ChatGPT's memory or be used to train their models. I would still avoid prompts that includes any sensitive information or in public models. So you don't want to include IP, you don't want to include information about your company in these models. That, again, we reserve that for using for Copilot. And then OpenAI particularly, all of the privacy is saying that you are responsible for what you upload in their terms. So be aware and make sure that you are using this technology wisely. For work, I always end. So if you're going to use it for work or if you're leading any sort of AI strategy or learning and development, that you can prioritize pilot projects by value, cost, and complexity. And so really kind of think about what might be important in your organization that AI could help with. You do need to make investments in data security and readiness. But I always encourage people to identify quick wins. Like, could you use it for transcriptions? Could you use it in new and unique ways for marketing? So don't just like think huge, big picture down the line. Find the ways to use it to save time on a daily basis. I always encourage everyone to use a top-down, bottom-up approach. So executive leadership needs to have vision, but everyone in the organization needs to be a champion and understand and share how to use this technology. So you'll get a copy of this. This is a nice little tool that you can use to determine where you might be able to plug in AI in your organization. So it's a kind of a cool little radar that you can use. And then I'll just end that, again, whether it's personal or professional, define your ambition, where you want to use AI, and then throughout your day, and even the goal I gave you earlier, spot those opportunities. Make sure that your technology is secure, make sure that your data is ready, and then adopt AI principles and make sure that your team is trained. So I'm happy to connect. I do share a lot of tips and tricks and information on LinkedIn. So there's my action figure, if you've seen the action figure trend. We help with all types of like AI projects, but follow me and I'm happy to get together on the side or share any learnings that I have as you kind of go through this journey. So I did not share much, like save many time for questions, so I apologize. I talk a lot.
I think you did great because we had questions throughout the whole presentation. This was super helpful, powerful. So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to unmute, but I think you did amazing. So
Hey,
I'm
Ashley,
happy to
I
connect
have
on the
a,
side. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a quick question. So we use, or I just started learning about AI agents. Can you talk just a little bit about that and how they work and any experience you've had with those?
Yeah, so an AI agent, sometimes you might hear that as a chat bot. That would be a specifically designed chat bot. Oh, yes, the action figure trend. An agent is something that you can specifically create, your company can specifically create to help with this very specific task or a set of tasks. And so, for example, I have created an agent for my team, and we have a knowledge base. Like, imagine this is our playbook. We've been developing this playbook for 8 years. It is a quagmire of information about how sales and marketing and account management runs at our organization. And I created a really quick agent that now anybody can go to, and they can simply type in a few quick questions, and it can return information, can generate information about what they're looking for very specifically to how Delnet operates. So they can go, I need help with invoices. What do I do here? And it can quickly give information back. Now, when you get even to like more detailed, it can actually take actions on behalf of individuals in the organization, and it can get really complicated in a good way from there. But that's maybe the best way to describe what an agent or a chatbot is. And that's where everybody's headed. That's like kind of next level generative AI.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me. I always go over. It is like my red flag.
Don't worry, I used AI to see what the action figure trend was, so no need to answer
you
that.
can make, yeah. You can make your own action figure. Again, I would make sure that you understand your own like settings, right? And that you're like comfortable uploading your likeness to ChatGPT or whatever you use it for. But if you do create an action figure, feel free to like share it with everybody because they're pretty fun to do.
well, thank you again, Ashley. Thank you for everybody being here. I will make sure to share her slide deck in this recording. This was awesome. I really appreciate all of you joining in your time, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there. Bye.
Bye.